Oh no. Drake, Party Next Door, allegedly sexy songs. Allegedly. Just, wow. I'm not even going to waste any time. This was just atrocious, man. This was so bad. It's meant to be a vibe. It's meant to be atmospheric. It's meant to get you in the mood. And it just does none of those things. And it's completely dire. Void of any personality. Void of any exciting songs, really. Just completely boring to the absolute definition of the word boring. This is just wow. The first few songs, I couldn't believe what I was hearing, because I was like, we're going to get 21 songs of this. The first few songs are completely melodyless. There's like no tune. There's like no like sharpness to anything. There's like no like anything that sticks out. Anything that just grabs your attention, anything that tickles your ears. Like the vocals are completely dead. They're not even like enjoyable to listen to. They're not even melodic or pleasing to the ear. It's just completely dead, absolutely dead. And I was like, no way, it's going to be like this the whole way through. And it basically is like this pretty much the whole way through. The first few tracks have like random beat switches just thrown in, right? And the beat switches don't even like bring out any energy to the song. They just make the song sound even more boring than the original beat did. You've got Party Next Door, who's doing this like auto-tune crooning thing that's really like off key near enough all the time. It's completely blah 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 blah. Like, oh, just really horrible on the ears. It completely like cuts through the atmosphere, if there even was an atmosphere. I don't even think Drake sounds particularly good on this, but I would at least prefer it if it was Drake doing these songs, and then Party Next Door comes in and completely ruins anything that could have possibly been at least tolerable. It just makes it worse. There's even like these weird moments on the album, particularly towards the end of the album actually, where he ends up sounding like Young Thug. I'm just like, what? I don't know if it's like a pale imitation of Young Thug, or it's just the fact that the effect being put on his voice is just creating his voice to sound that way. But it's a really odd sound that I'm just really put off by, because I'm like, this shouldn't be what I'm hearing on these kinds of songs with these like airy, spacious, absolutely empty beats. Like, it shouldn't be this vocal. I wouldn't hold it against you if you're somebody that thinks like, you know, all modern R&B is bad. I would say, you know, delve out a little bit more and try some other things in the modern R&B world. But this is the kind of thing that does get mainstream. This is the kind of thing that does hit Billboard. It hits the charts, and it would probably hit radio. So I wouldn't be too surprised if you're somebody that thinks all R&B now is void of any personality when it's this kind of stuff that's prominent. Because, like, yeah, why wouldn't you think that way when it all has this completely like dead air and no soul? Like, it's soulless. It's completely soulless. And I would implore you to check out other R&B albums. Like, there are some great ones, obviously, but yeah, I'm not surprised that people think that way about modern R&B when this is the kind of thing that one of the biggest artists in the world is pushing as their album. Post The Beef from last year as well. Like, this is what we're going with? We're going with this? I mean, okay, Drake, but I don't know, man. I think you probably should have gone for something a little bit more ear-grabbing than this. This is going to struggle to stick. This is going to struggle to stick. I think if you're a Drake stan, you might want to be wary of the numbers that this album puts out, because it's not going to be anywhere near as high as you expect it to be. I'm telling you right now, this is even before the charts have updated. I'm recording this, by the way. I'm recording this on the Monday. The charts update over the weekend, or like Monday, Tuesday, I think, usually. So I'm saying it right now as an early prediction. I just don't see this sticking, and I hope it doesn't. And let's not forget as well, post The Beef, all Drake fans have had is the numbers. Like, let it be known that they are completely coping. They know for a fact that Kendrick wiped this guy completely out in terms of any closeness in a battle. Like, it wasn't even close. It's nowhere near as close as Drake fans want to try and make it out to be. It isn't. But all they had is the numbers, because Drake fans have always had that. You know, the guy puts out crazy numbers. He can do 1 million first week. In his prime, he was able to do that. So let's not forget, I'm not saying that numbers equal quality, or if the more album sells, the better the album is. No, this is Drake fans that have been telling everybody else that for years. So the fact that this is probably not going to do that kind of numbers is not looking good for them, is what I'm trying to say. And the problem is for Drake with this album particularly, being the one album that he's decided to release post the beef. A beef where his entire personality was kind of ripped to shreds, and how he behaves around women, how he acts with women, the way he treats girls was completely like laid out for the entire world to hear, has somehow not made him think, I will maybe consider the way I'm writing my lyrics on this album so I don't then fuel those allegations anymore. I'm not talking about the A minor stuff. Okay, I'm not talking about that aspect of it. Although there is that one bit in one of the songs where he's talking about the girl who still lives with her parents. That's a little odd. You know, you can live with your parents in your 20s, that's fine. Again, maybe just be careful about the way you're wording yourself, Drake. I'll just say that. But aside from the A minor stuff that I'm not going to go into too much detail about, still across this album, the way he frames the girls, the way he's talking about girls, the way how like they're an object to provide him pleasure. And PARTYNEXTDOOR is no hero in this, by the way. They're both writing lyrics like this. But Drake should specifically be more careful, surely, than to be framing some of these songs in the way that he is. Right? I'm not going crazy, am I? Like, this seems like such an obvious thing. If this was something that was said about you, the last thing you'd want to do would be play into that even more to fuel those things, or to fuel people's thoughts. Because now, post the beef, even Drake stans, the hardcore Drake stans, are probably going to be listening to the lyrics a little bit closely to kind of pick out things that Kendrick was saying, right? Not even just Kendrick. These are things that have been said about Drake for years. And I just feel as though he hasn't even took a moment to stop and think that maybe try and be a bit more careful. Like, it's wild to me. Looking at a song like On My Way, where he's very clearly desperately trying to get to this girl's crib and, you know, have a good time with her, but she has kids at home, so it's like a whole thing about how he's trying to get to be with her, but it's tricky because she's clearly a mom and she has duties, and it all just comes off so sleazy. It's the whole thing just is not sexy in the slightest. Like, I couldn't imagine how you'd be turned on by this, honestly. Crying in Chanel as well, I've wrote the lyrics down where he's talking about, like, you know, are those tears of joy? I can't tell. She's saying that what I did for her, I did for someone else. And it's like, yeah, good for the girl calling you out. You're probably using all these same tactics to get, like, sex with all these girls. And this girl is upset about it and has finally figured out your motives and the fact that you're not here for any kind of, like, emotional support whatsoever. You're just using her. Greedy as well. You know, the whole 6 minutes of the song is basically like how, like, you know, I'm so greedy for your love, and, like, it's not bad stuff. It's not, like, you know, problematic stuff at the forefront, but it's just like weird little things that he's putting in his songs that just makes him sound like ugh. And the album is released on Valentine's Day. It's called Some Sexy Songs for You. The whole thing is meant to be like, ooh, this is gonna be like, ooh, And it's just none of that. Superman, Spider-Man as well, like, you know, oh, these girls need saving, but I can't save them, I'm no Superman, I'm no Spider-Man. Like, any guy that speaks like that, like, are you not side-eyeing them a little bit? Like, they are probably full of shit, aren't they? Like, they are probably not the kind of guy you're going to be wanting to spend time with, particularly in a romantic sense. Again, it's not like explicit stuff, but it's just little things that are just like so cringe and so like, you're just looking at Drake and you're thinking, yeah, this guy, the way he moves, particularly around women, is just weird. It's just weird, man. It'll always be weird. The whole posts that he does on his bloody Finsta. He's got a Finsta. He's, what, 38 now? He's got a Finsta where he posts photos of girls just to, like, sneak diss them and, like, try and get at the people he's in beefs and feuds with. Yeah, this is the kind of thing this guy does. And it's like, he hasn't even tried to look at some of his behaviours and think, this probably needs to stop. And it's just little things in the lyrics that make you go, Drake is kind of not really showcasing any likable qualities here at all. On an album that's meant to be likable and romantic and get you in the mood. This? No. Now, there's a couple of tracks on the album that are getting the most buzz. Even the people that are saying that they don't like the album are in fact coming out of the album liking these songs. Most notably, Give Me a Hug, which is kind of tiptoeing around the past year and has a few lyrics that reference where Drake is and the way he's being perceived. What's it he says? I wrote it down. The friggin' they wanna see Rip Me on a t-shirt like I'm Hulk Hogan. Not only is that just a really bad line, but he's basically across this song talking about how people are waiting for his obituary and people are waiting for his elimination, but it's all fake. You know, you can't take down the boy, it's never going to happen, that kind of stuff. And, well, no, you know, it's not, Drake's not going to go away. I've always maintained that too. Like, I did say somewhere, I can't remember where I said it, I did say I think he's going to take a hit in terms of, like, the music isn't going to take off in the way that it used to, and it does look like this album isn't going to do that, to be fair. But the elimination isn't going to be, you know, completely clean. He's not going to completely go away. So I do understand that aspect of it. But it's just how he's still kind of, like, poking little bits and bobs at the beef, but without really like properly directly addressing it. It's just all a bit lame. He's just moving a bit lame, and that's one of the reasons why I just don't think this song is anywhere near as good as people are making out, because the actual energy of the song is pretty alright. It's got way more of a pulse than any of the other tracks. It's got a bit of a beat. It's actually got a beat, can you believe it? I know, I wouldn't believe it on an album like this, where there's no bloody beats to be found anywhere, no pulse to be found anywhere. It's all dead. But this one song does have a bit of an energy to it. And he's rapping a bit more. He's kind of bringing a bit more of like that confidence back that you kind of know and expect from Drake. But like, again, like the bars I've just read out there are not that good. The actual like rhyme scheme he uses, where it's like, you know, intimidation, generation, ocean, emotion, like it all, like he goes on this complete like tangent of just constantly rapping the words and ending them in that kind of sound. And somebody's pointed out as well that he's done this on another song before where the rhyme scheme is almost identical, and it's just like the guy, even when he's trying to bring something different to an album, he's still doing stuff he's already done before. This is a rhyme scheme he's repeated. It's just like there's no progression at all, is there? And the bars themselves aren't even good. So rapping Drake on an album which is full of R&B songs still isn't that good, because the rapping itself just isn't good. I think people were just starving to hear Drake sound a bit hungry, so they've just took this song and ran with it. But if you actually read into the bars, this isn't good rapping, really. You do have Nokia as well, which is a bit more of a fun, danceable track, which again, we've known Drake to do before. I still feel like some of the lyrics here are a bit cringe, like the whole Keisha, Stacy thing. It's the whole like Mambo number 5 thing he does, where he just starts listing women's names. Whatever, I guess. but the beat's a bit more fun. It's definitely the most fun song on the album, and I do feel as though if I heard this outside of the context of the album, and maybe I was just out and about, I may have a bit of fun to it. It's a bit more kind of like mindless fun that I don't necessarily mind. It's not a song that I'm going to play on a regular basis, but again, in the context of this album, I'll take what I can get. Even though, you know, again, lyrically it's still a little weak, it's still not the best, but on an album that's full of shockers, it's at least a slight, tiny diamond in all of this. These things, these slight positives in all of this are just way too few and far between. They come like 15 tracks into the album, which is like, out of 21, basically like 45 minutes in before you get to anything that's a little bit more enjoyable. And then it completely nosedives beyond that, because you go back to the really, you know, sterile, void of anything at all tracks that are just completely dead again. And you've got, you know, go back to the Party Next Door, like crooning, that sounds really awkward. Go to Drake's really awkward melodies that just aren't there. You know, I like Drake with the melodies. Where are they, man? Where are they? You get a bloody Spanish song. You get a Spanish song where Drake sings in Spanish, guys. I just have no words. I have no words. What is he doing? He's never beating the allegations, man. All these fake accents he puts on, the fake patois, like the fake, like, it's just so weird. It's so weird. He doesn't even sound good doing it. It sounds really awkward. The actual Spanish singer does come on later on the song, and it kind of just has that really like stereotypical regional Mexican sound that's been popular for the past year or so. You know, like Peso Pluma. Not really a standout moment. It just sounds really out of place on the album itself. I'm just like, nah, this guy cannot be for real. He's not seriously doing this, man. He just sounds so awkward when he's singing. Genuinely could be one of the worst songs of the year. But we are talking about an album that is genuinely in consideration for being one of the worst albums of the year. And I'm not just saying that as well. This isn't no like, oh, you're hating on Drake just because you love Kendrick thing. If anyone even attempts to do that. No. I was willing to give this a chance, right? But this genuinely is up there as one of the worst albums I've heard all year. I've heard about 60-ish albums at this point in 2025. No word of a lie, no joke here. Genuinely in the bottom 5 of what I've heard. This is really that level. Friggin' Spanish singing, Drake, what are you doing? I'm not going to touch on every single track, man. Like I say, the vast majority of this is falling into the same notes, the same patterns, and just continuously really dry, drab, lifeless music. That, again, the worst word I can use for this is soulless, because at the very least, R&B music should never be soulless. You should at least feel something listening to it. And I just feel nothing hearing these two sing in this way, over these beats, over these instrumentals that have no pulse, no energy. It's really bad. I'm in awe of the fact that post the beef, again, Drake could release this at any point in his career and it would still be bad. But post the beef particularly, I cannot believe he's gone with this as his first release, because this is really bad. 3.5 out of 10. I've talked way too long about this album. This does not need to be a review that is this long, but anyway, it is what it is. It's, yeah, up there, one of the worst albums I've heard already this year. I think by the end of the year it could still end up being in that conversation. I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest with you. And yeah, it is just shocking in so many ways. I didn't even mention at any point in this review as well, by the way, an hour and 15 minutes. An hour and 15 minutes, and nobody needs this to be that long. Even the most hardcore Drake fan cannot tell me that this album needed to be this long. I'm sure even they'd be able to say you could drop it to like at least 15 songs. Like, there's no way every single track needed to be on this album. There is like a terrible ratio of how many decent moments there are to how many bad songs there are. Like, it's really bad. I'm sorry, man. It just is. Yeah, that's it from me. Oh god, wow. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Did you have a terrible time with this album like I did? If you did, please let me know If you want some actual good R&B recommendations as well, I did just literally drop a video on the channel where I talked about the best R&B albums of the 21st century so far. So if you're somebody that's going to be like, you just hate R&B, you white boy, then I've given you 25 recommendations that are far and away better than this. So please check out that video. Subscribe, as always, like the video, share it around. Have a good day. Please don't listen to this album, and goodbye.